For me, it's also been a journey of learning to come back to myself. I think that was the interesting piece of this kind of 4 years of travel
Hmm.
is the majority of my life was always focused on caretaking for others, being productive in a career where everything was that external focus. And this season of my life, because I was separated geographically from my family, it gave me a chance to really get to know who I was. And it's almost like that cycle of getting to know myself was completed. And then once that was completed, like that piece of the journey or that type of lifestyle, like, well, it no longer was needed in the same
Hmm.
way. Whereas during the time period that I was getting to know that inner self of me. Individuation. Are you familiar with that word?
I am familiar. Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's what this season has been about for me and for my family is about learning to separate our identities from each other and be clearly, having our own unique identities. So I know that I've done that for myself where, I'm much more confident in who I am and what the uniquenesses of me are. And I've seen my now adult children, form relationships where in the past they may have been leaning on me a little bit more. And now they had that opportunity, although sometimes that was also difficult to do that being apart, but they were forming their identity now as adults and kind of learning how to separate that from mom.
Hmm.
And so it's been an interesting season.
Mm. I like the season analogy. Even like if people listen to our previous chats, they will see that we talk a lot about seasons. And what's your biggest learning from this season that just, passed and
So this last, well, I think there's a theme from this
hmm
whole season, the broader season. And that theme was about slowing down and learning to do things from an internal based, like learning to tune in and like, what do I want? Like, what do I want to do? What does that even look like in work and career and friendships? And doing that more from an internal motivation than an external motivation. But to do that, I had to slow down and not only slow down, but to slow down way more than I would have ever anticipated. And that I think culminated in the last 5 months where I was literally like maybe had the energy to do my client work. And then that was like it. Like I was like,
hmm
no more. Um, and I was in this cute little casita at my friend's house where it was right next to the pool. And it was very small, but it had like my kitchen was like 5 steps away. And so everything that I needed was within a very close proximity there. And it really was just kind of like this little cocoon of transformation for me where I could just like be there. There wasn't any demands on me other than my work. And it really was a season of connecting the dots to maybe some of the most deepest questions that I've had in my life. And one of those relates to work. And I think we're going to talk a little bit more about
hmm
that.
hmm hmm How interesting. I imagine the place when you were talking about and the sun and the swimming pool and everything being so convenient. And did kind of the energy that you can focus only on what you want. And I'm thinking, is this a luxury, or is this something that most of the people can have at one point in their life? We're not saying you need to be like that forever, but kind of having this time to slow down and grow.
Well, I think from the Western culture perspective, from US based culture, moves so rapidly with such a high expectation of rapid movement that many people are uncomfortable even with going at a moderate pace.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think happens is when we get used to that, we miss a lot of things. You know, if you think about going for a walk, if you walk slowly and you're looking around at the trees and the animals and the squirrels, you see a lot more than if you're driving down that same path on a bicycle, you know, as fast as you can go on the bicycle. You're
Mm-hmm.
missing all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the value. And some people, I think, keep busy because they don't want to see what's going on inside of themselves, because sometimes it's not pretty.
Yeah, no one said that it's an easy process. I mean, I think if the caterpillar transitioning to a butterfly